Hello Matujama, and you're watching Hornbill TV's Chill Out. In today's Chill Out episode, we have a very special guest with us. We have none other than Miss Zuchobeni. The show does not need much of an introduction, but for those who do not know her much, I'll just tell you guys. She is the Femina Miss Nagaland 2020. She is the Kids for Fame winner 2011, Miss Dimapur 2019. She is top 25 contestant in the stage season 3, and also not forgetting she's a singer, but most importantly she was a finalist in the Miss Liva Miss Diva 2023. She represented Nagaland. So hi Zucho, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you so much for agreeing to speak to us.
Hi Atu. Thank you so much for having me. It's my honor that you've invited me here today, and thanks to Hornbill TV for having me here today. I'm really excited to be here.
Like I said, it's a pleasure, and we understand that you just reached here after your pageant, and it's just been some days, and I'm pretty sure that you're busy with your personal life, works here, and you get to come home only sometimes, but we really appreciate you giving us your time.
Oh, I mean, I think this is part of what I really enjoy. So of course, coming here was quite a surprise. A lot of people received me at the airport with so much love and appreciation, which I wasn't expecting initially, though I knew that people were really encouraging me from the very beginning, but it was quite an overwhelming surprise. So I think the least I can do is maybe send out a little bit of my words to the people here.
Right. And you, I think the pageant was in August, right? After that, just could you tell us more about your experience there in Liva Miss Diva? You made it to top 7. That's like, I think in other pageants you have top 5 and then top 3, but I think in Liva Miss Diva it was top 7 and not top 5, right?
Yeah,
so
top 7.
It's like you were a finalist there. So did you expect yourself to be there, or how was it? Just run us through the experience.
So for me, to begin with, I did not have any expectations. My only idea for pageant was to represent and basically to be out there and tell people that a place like Nagaland from the Northeast exists, and that was actually my main goal. I think initially when I participated, the previous pageant that I was in Miss India, I think my aim or my goal was to win, and I was like, you know, I have to go, I have to win. But if I look back, then those days I was pretty naive as to I wanted what I thought that I wanted it for myself. But this time my perspective towards these things were completely different. It wasn't about winning. It wasn't about the outcome. Basically, it was about how can I put my best foot forward. Of course, I had a lot of problems. You know, I did not do the best that I could have. However, you know, I don't have regrets because I think I was able to do under the circumstances that I was in to the best of my ability. So that was my idea, to represent, and I think hopefully I was able to do that. So
you did. Of course, making it to the top 7 is a huge thing, and also winning 2 subtitles, that's huge. So we're really proud of you for that.
I would like to give credit to the people here for making me win the subtitle Miss Popular Choice, because if the people didn't vote for me, I was nothing. It was not my performance that I was able to achieve that. So this is like a huge credit to everybody who has voted for me. And of course the Hornbill TV, they advertised me so well, and of course it reached out so many more people, and of course that was one of the nice catalyst that made me win the subtitles. So thanks to everyone.
Also, before when you were there training, I remember we asked you to send the videos, and we'd really want to appreciate you for that also. We understand that you were so busy, you hardly get time for yourself, but you still made out the time, and then to send me those videos minute by minute to all those questions. We really appreciate you for that as well. I really wanted to put that as well. And if I'm not mistaken, when you came here at the airport, I think there was a media interview, and you said you made a mistake in the finals. I was just curious to know. We really want to know what was the mistake. Could you please tell us more about that?
A lot of people know me as someone who has been on stage many times, but I have stage fright. And so, you know, when I realized that I'm actually finally, like, I wasn't expecting to be on top 7 first of all. And then I made it a top 7. I was like, oh my God, I'm not ready for the next. Like, I was really nervous because the person that I am, I don't think I have ever been overconfident. I've always tried to put my best foot forward. But in terms of confidence, I still lack somewhere, and I know I have to work on it. But I wasn't expecting to be in top 7, and then suddenly I'm there, and I had to go front for my opening statement.
Okay.
And opening statements are just as such that, these are basically the kind of advocacy that you have and kind of like an impression that you make it to the judges for the first time, and these are all scripted.
Right.
In terms of not the script that they give you, it's a
Yeah.
script that you prepare for yourself, and then you speak in front of people. And I'm very bad at that. Like,
Okay.
I'm someone who speaks from my heart.
Right.
I can't do if anything is scripted. And so I go up and I see a lot of people. I see their eyes on me, and I'm like, shit. I start speaking and I fumble. And I immediately realize I made a mistake. I made a blunder. But then I realized, on stage I was thinking, like, why am I here for? Like, I was trying to recall as to what was my initial thought when I wanted to be here. It was for me to represent well. If I'm fumbling, how can I take it forward? However, I kind of like stitched it together, and I somehow completed my opening statement, but I did fumble.
Right.
And that was a blunder that I made from my end. So I don't think, people were a little disappointed when I didn't win, but I also want to apologize that I did fumble and I did make a blunder.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the problem.
Because we didn't get to watch it yet. We got to watch short clips, and we saw it on Instagram stories. But I don't think the whole show is out as of now.
It'll
for the
be
public.
out on the 9th of September.
Yeah, so we'll get to see
Hopefully,
then.
hopefully I'm not a
Not
social
to judge
media
your
meme.
mistakes, not to judge your mistakes, but also
Yeah.
to understand that everybody is not perfect. I mean, of course,
Yeah.
we all make mistakes, and we're sure that you tried your best also, and that's all that matters, I guess. from
That
our
I
part.
will say, I tried my
Yeah,
best.
you did. Now, again, tell us more about the experiences there. Your grooming. We don't know much about what goes on during the grooming and training session. I mean, I don't know much. I mean, I don't know at all. So, for me also, and for the viewers also to know more about it, could you tell us what goes on?
Yeah,
there?
like I was telling you behind the
Yeah.
scenes, that it's like a beautiful military training. So everything that looks glamorous on stage is actually not behind the stage or behind the camera. So what happens is that there's a lot of hard work put. A lot of people think that ramp walk is pretty easy, and for someone like me, I usually don't wear heels on normal basis. I usually wear it only when they have an occasion, and so I'm not very, very comfortable on my heels. And so, doing that ramp walk also takes a lot of practice, the twists and turns. And so I, of course, had to put a lot of effort, which I'm still working on. I don't think I'm the best at it, and I am very much aware of. So ramp walk training, for example, it'll take us at least 3 to 4 hours on heels without having to sit. Right after which we have fittings for the finale, different kinds of fittings, because we have different kinds of shoots every single day. And we have to be constantly on heels. So to the level where we have blisters and bruises on our feet. And of course, we have to be ready early, very early in the morning. So there are times that we don't get to get our sleep. It's pretty hectic like that. But of course, I understand that for you, in order to achieve something, you have to put a lot of hard work also. So definitely it was very intense. In terms of sleep, someone like me who loves sleeping, I can sleep under any anywhere, anytime, any place. For someone like me, it was a bit of a challenge. Of course, I had to come out of my comfort zone and, of course, challenge myself as to where I can better myself, how I can make myself better in terms of this, because I had a lot of things that I had to shift. I had to unlearn a lot of things that I had already learned before. So all of this put together, like I said, I know how else to explain, but it's a beautiful military training.
Military training.
Everything that looks glamorous, but behind the scenes, like
In
almost
heels,
like a
military
in heels.
training in heels. How long does it last? I mean, how many days was the training session for?
So this time the pageant happened pretty quickly.
Right.
Usually it's for at least 2 months, but this time it was pretty quick. The audition was on the 10th of August. Sorry, the 9th of August. And the 10th of August, we had known who the finalists were. And so the 10th of August, we started off with our photo shoot. Then the 20th of August is when we shifted in, or put together. We all went in together. Then we were at a hotel for 7 days, of course, with all the grooming with it. And 27th was our finale. So it was a
Quite packed.
Yeah, it was
right?
quite quite packed,
Yeah.
timing wise.
Could you also tell us more about how you got into Liva, Miss Diva, the whole how it began? Tell us more. I mean, asked you the same question before, but for those who did not watch it, for them to know and for also, could you please tell us more about that?
So I'll be very honest. After Miss India, I think I kind of thought that was it, because we don't see a lot of people going again for pageant, and that was the ideology that if I've been before, then I cannot come back again. But that's actually not the case. You can go back as many times as you want. So then I of course got scouted by one of the teams. They had told me if I can give it a try for the audition, and they do that with many other girls, and they'd asked me if I would want to try, and I said no, I'm not ready, because number one, I got engaged this year, and at that time I did not know that engaged women are actually allowed, because previously there was no rule like that. So I was like, nah, not my thing, not anymore. Then of course I had a discussion with my fiance as to they're kind of like scouting me. Do you think I should that? He said, of course, just go for it. And I'm like, I gotta think about it, because I'm not ready, because for you, in order to go to a pageant, you have to be absolutely fit. You have to be under a certain diet, which I wasn't. I was eating junk food every single day. I was traveling, I was eating everything and anything that was placed before me. So I wasn't ready in terms of my body, in terms of my... Then I was questioning myself, am I ready, mentally? Then there were a lot of questions that came, why will I do this? Is it for me to showcase my beauty? Is it because I want to prove something to the world? Then I said, what's there to lose anyway? I'll just give it a go. So audition day came, and I thought I will not get selected, because I hope my audition video doesn't get leaked, but if at all it does, that I did not prepare my introduction at all. I was blunt to the level that I said exactly who I was, where I'm coming from, what I wanted to be. I think that was actually what impressed them. The fact that I was really raw, the fact that I did not prepare anything. Because I was thinking about it, that if I am not authentic, if I am not myself, there's no point in me trying to be someone else when I'm out there. I don't want to hold the flag of being that perfectionist when I am not. I'm the most imperfect person that a person will know. And so I did not want to be that. So I questioned myself, and then I came to the realization that, if I have to try, that has to be me. It has to be the authentic self. Then I'll know where I'm standing in life. So I gave it a go. And the audition day came. There were 200 girls on ground audition. Before that was a video audition there were thousands of applicants. From there, there filtered 200 girls on ground auditions for Bombay. I went early morning, 7:30. I started the audition, and we had 5 rounds of auditions that day: the bikini round, and the ramp walk round, and all of this. Somehow I made it through everything. Every time I'm expecting to get ready to get back home, they're like, contestant number 37. I'm like, shit, I have to go back. So then I kept doing that over and over again. And of course, when they announced top 16, I was there. And I wasn't prepared. I didn't come. I did not know that I will be selected for the next round. So then immediately the next day we had a photo shoot. And of course, we had to take it further from there. Then kind of relaxed my mind, kind of understood the whole situation, and that's how I went about with it. So that was the whole thing.
And even your top 16 introduction video, I think that was one of the best that they had there. I mean, even I watch people who analyze all these pageants and all, I don't know what to call it, pageant analyst, or what do you call that? Maybe. People who does that, not only people from here in India, but even outside, maybe Philippines. You were at their, always, you're always in the top list for them as well. So how do you feel about that? It's just not people here, they think that you deserve the crown, but also people outside who put you there in that competition. So how do you feel about that as well?
First of all, I'm so grateful that people kind of always put me at top, in the top.
Contenders,
even during Miss India, they've always done it. I don't know what I have it in me, because what I know about myself is that I've only tried to be myself, tried to put my best foot forward, and I think people have kind of seen that. And maybe that's why they put me forward all the time, but I'm very grateful for that. When it comes to my introduction video, there was a one-day shoot, extremely swift. And thanks to my videographer, Danny, he was one very spontaneous person. enthusiastic at the same
Right.
time. I called him just a day prior and I asked him, Danny, see, I have to make an introduction video. I have to represent my whole state and the whole Northeast. I want to do to the best of my ability, even though we have a very like short period of time that we can execute this. Can you help me? He's like, let's do it. We did not have any script. We did not have anything. We just went to the venue. We just started shooting whatever looked best under the circumstances. We started
Right.
doing it. Then, of course, the script was prepared. Of course, you know, I had written something and we kind of like worked it on the script a
Right,
little
right.
bit. My fiance helped me a lot with it. And he made me record and everything put together. It was largely his idea also as to how we can put it forward.
But I would say that it did a very good job in portraying or putting out the message that you wanted to about Northeast. You representing, being a representative. I mean, kudos to everybody.
Yeah, I would
who-
say that team, in fact, my whole team who I had formed then, Josie was my stylist, Stella was constantly there as the BTS person. She also helped me with the script. And of course, Danny was one of the most spontaneous videographers that I've seen. And my fiance has been there throughout, from day one, from my audition day to staying there for waiting for me right outside the audition hall. Like he waited for me like 24 hours, like literally.
Right.
So he's been there constantly.
You're
So
one
I
and
think
only
the team that I'd
supportive.
formed was quite a blessing. I don't think I would have executed it without them. So I'm really grateful. Yeah.
And also, if I'm not mistaken, wearing a bikini, it was your first time doing a ramp
yes.
walk. So how was the feeling? Were you nervous? What was the thought?
I'm sure you agree that we come from such
Yes,
a
of
conservative
course.
space where even if you wear a short dress, you know, there are a lot of eyes on
Right,
you.
right,
And
right.
how did this girl wear a bikini? And it was, of course, a little bit overwhelming in the beginning when I had to wear a bikini. I was like, you know, the ramp walk trainer had, just free yourself, just walk. You don't have to think so much, just walk, okay? And I'm still a little stiff, okay?
Yeah, I understand.
And I'm just like trying to walk my way through. And when I'm, you know, twisting or like twirling,
Yeah.
I'm still restricted with my body because somehow at the back of my mind, what if this flips?
Yeah,
like, what
exactly
if this flips? You know, so of course there were a lot of things in my head, but again, this was something that I had chosen for myself, and if I had to keep up with it, I have to do it completely.
Right.
So I had to let that fear go off, and you know, very surprisingly, a lot of people were not negative about it, which I
Yes,
was really
yeah.
grateful. Somehow at the back of your mind, coming from such a conservative background, you think that everyone's going to judge you. And I think that's going to be constant. Everyone is eventually
Right.
going to judge you. But I think it's how you look at yourself. It's how people also see you. So I was confident in what I was. And then I eventually, gradually kind of worked upon it.
Right.
And of course, worked my way through it. I would say I still have a little bit of a thing, but I will work on it.
Yeah, of course. But I would say that when it comes to people of Nagaland here, we're also becoming a little open towards beauty pageants, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that when it compared to when it was way back in those years, I would say that. And I think you also made a mark on that, changing people's perspective on beauty pageants also. I think you did a very good job on that as well. I mean,
Thank you.
you happy as it now again, now that even engaged people and even married people, they can participate, right? So would you be participating again in any pageants, any upcoming pageants? Any? Do you have any plans
You
on
know, I've always been very spontaneous about
Right.
these things. I've never had any pre-plan except Miss India time. My mom was my first supporter in terms of pageants. She actually is the one why I got into pageants. But this time, for example, was really spontaneous. It was something that I suddenly decided, and I participated. So we never know, you know. I've always kept my possibilities alive. You know, if I can do something, if I am able to do something under the under my potential, then I will definitely go for it. But if I know that I'm not for it, if there's not a calling for me in it, then you know, we will always see. So that's something I'm always keeping benefit of the doubt.
No, so I cannot help but just compliment on how you speak so well. And I've always said that to my friends also. I really like the way she speaks. It's not that for us, if somebody asks me a question, it would take some time for me to process the thought and then give an answer. But for you, it's just so, you're just ready. It's just like you're ready for that to answer. And that's actually a skill. right?
Okay.
We'd say that. So
I mean,
how
very
did you
nice of you.
develop that? I mean, for people might also want to learn it from you. So how did you get that?
I don't think there's any trick to it. For me, I've always loved, I've always believed in speaking my heart out.
Right.
So if I'm able to speak my heart out, which is actually what I'm meaning, then it comes out naturally. Like I said, when it's scripted, I can't. I don't think I can be a good actor, that's why,
Right.
because I can't follow what I am not. But when it comes to speaking my heart out, I love to express.
Right.
I love what's in my heart. I love to tell, like for example, you're looking very beautiful, then I wouldn't shy away from telling that to
Yes.
you, you know.
Right.
And so I think it's the authenticity, not trying to keep up with people actually.
Right,
I
right.
don't try to seek for validation as to, oh hey, I'm speaking like this, how is it?
Yeah.
I'm actually doing it because I want to put my idea through.
Yeah.
I want to deliver what I have it in my heart. So I think that's the trick. Not really like a mathematical
Yeah,
trick
not
to
like
it,
you're
but
practicing in front of the mirror or something like that. It just comes from within us.
it's just from my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, Zucho, would you tell me more about, if some of the moments that you would cherish, or some moments from your Miss Diva that you'd always, you'd always cherish any moments as such?
Oh my God, this time it was actually magical for me because I got to meet so many beautiful people. You know, when you're in an industry which is, you're surrounded by glamour, fame, and a lot of money. Of course, a lot of people have a lot of money. You know, it's very hard to meet people who are nice, humble, sweet, and kind.
Right.
And I got to meet so many like that this time. In fact, all my co-contestants were beautiful people. I was very closely acquainted with some of them, and I was really, I was in awe as to how nice these people can be. In fact, my contestant managers were like angels sent from above, Every day was grueling in terms of how much work we were assigned, and of course, rightfully so. But if these people were not part of the team, then I don't think it would have been possible for any of us girls to be able to do. In fact, I'd like to mention some of the names. Our contestant managers, Isha, Yashvi, Chandrakant, who we call CK. They were just beautiful people, They were around us all the time. They made sure we ate on time. They made sure that we are hydrated. Even if it's like in the middle of a shoot, they'll make sure they come and give us some bottle of water if we're exhausted. And they were just like little sisters. Isha was younger to me, so I called her my little sister. Yashvi was older to me, so like my older sister, They were all so nice and warm, and they actually made the whole experience so much more magical.
Right.
And even my co-contestants, my roommate was Trisha, who was the runners-up.
Right.
And, we got to know each other so much better. Like, I got to understand the perspective of a different contestant also.
Right.
And I used to tell all the girls, in fact, I felt like the mother. Everyone used to tell me that I was like the mother of the team, because I was of the mindset that, none of us are actually here to compete against each
Right.
other. And I always, when I pray, I would pray that, God, if you have anything for any of the girls, make sure you put the girl forward who you believe in.
Right.
Because you hold a lot of responsibility when you're a pageant queen. Or at least I look up to a pageant queen because I know that they have a lot of responsibility. And I'm sure that I did not go there because I may not have been ready for the crown. Because it requires a lot of skill, it requires a lot of responsibility.
Right.
So I wasn't there because I know there's a purpose to it. And I used to tell that to Trisha as well. I used to tell Trisha that, we are not here to compete against each other. We are here for each other. We're here to inspire people.
Right.
And we're here to set, or rather, express our heart out and make sure that we are leaders in different ways.
Right.
You cannot always claim to be a leader when you're leading a pact. You can also claim to be a leader when you're inspiring people and leading by a good example.
Right.
And that's something that I used to remind myself every single day, and I used to tell Trisha exactly the same. And when she won, I was so happy for her. In
Right.
fact, the other two girls, Sonal and Shweta, however, Trisha was my roommate, so I was
Right.
closely acquainted with her. And I just sent her a message, and Trisha, I'm so happy. This is where you belong,
Right.
and you are made for so much bigger and better platforms, and I just want you to soar from here. And that liberation to be able to appreciate your co-contestants, that liberation to be able to understand that life is not just limited to winning, but it's more than that,
Right.
was quite an experience. So I would say I was surrounded, blessed by people around me, and it was just overall a very good experience. Very, very good experience.
So much positivity. I also want to mention that your reaction when Sonal won.
So yes, and Shweta.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean you're next to them, and then your reaction to their win. I think it also won a lot of hearts. And at that point, I think you were not just trying to be happy, but you were.
I was
genuinely happy. I mean, we could see that, and that shows your sportsmanship also. How good of a
Yeah, and I wouldn't lie. This thing in my head of not being competitive against each other came to me this year while I competed. And I think it requires a certain level of maturity in order to accept.
Right.
I was really happy for the girls because I knew that, though I'm passionate, I could see the passion through their eyes, every single one of them. And I told them before the pageant, before we were crowned, I told them, any one of you wins, I'll be the greatest cheerleader. Right. I will dance for you. Even post-party, I dance for all of them, I will dance for all of you. Right. I will be the greatest cheerleader. I have only one thing to tell as a sister, that whoever represents, make sure you don't represent with the idea to win. Make sure you represent with the idea to represent your country, putting your best foot forward and with an intention that you take forward something good with you. Right. Have a good intention in your heart, and that's what will take us forward. And I kept telling all of them, and all of them are just like that. They all have great, understanding to life, and I'm highly appreciative of that. So I kept telling them. I was really happy when I got to see my friends being crowned. So I think that was quite a feeling for me.
It's so happy to see women supporting women like that, and you being in a radar all the time. You're also an influencer in the state, and also singer, and you have always been there.
I've always been there at controversy also.
So how important do you think, even here in the state, do you see women supporting women here?
I would say yes, of course, but I would say there's still a lot more that we can work upon. Right. However, see, when it comes to women, right? I consider my best friends as the nicest women that I know, because I'm closely acquainted with them. When I was, of course, yes, I forgot to mention, during my audition, my best friends flew from Delhi to be there for me. They were not with me at the auditions, but they were outside, of course, with my fiance. The three of them were having fun, of course, but the three of them were constantly, praying for me, constantly being there for me. And that support from my best friends, two of my best friends, it was just so nice. It was not for me, but it was like, I realized one thing that day, why do I want to get successful? Then I realized I want to get successful for these people. Right. Because, I can maybe make a lot of money someday. I can maybe do a lot of things for show off. Right. But that won't satisfy me. What will satisfy me is when I can uplift my friends. So I always pray for my friends. Also, I hope they grow. I hope they do good in life, And as long as we have that intention for each other, we will see everybody grow. And with that mentality, I think the state will grow overall. And I always keep saying this, even for my friends, I always encourage them in everything that they do. I'm always there if I can be there for them. And likewise, they're there for me all the time. Right. So for me, the greatest example of a woman, my best friends, my two best friends, and of course my mom, she's independent, she's beautiful, she's amazing like that. So yeah, I take them as my great inspiration. I really take great inspiration from them.
Now moving a little aside from your pageant world, I mean, Sanam is here, but we're going to talk about him because we cannot just not talk about you, because you guys are already going to tie the knot, you're engaged. So our viewers might also want to know, so how did you guys meet? Could you please tell us more about that as well, if you are comfortable?
Okay. Yeah, I get that asked a lot. In fact, I think there's been many instances where I've been asked and I shied away from it. But of course, I think it's time for me to tell. So, Sanam had contacted me for one of his songs that he had written, and he was looking for a female vocalist who he was waiting for that tone. Apparently, in his head, there's a tone that he wanted for a female vocalist to have, and somehow I happened to have had that tone, and so he contacted me for that song. And I was really excited because I've been a fan of him, by the way. Before that, I was always a fan of his, and he contacted me, and I was really happy. And we contacted through a video call. He sent me the song, and I was like, wow, what a beautiful song. Like, are you really going to make me part of this song? Okay. And it was such a beautiful song that I was so excited to work with him. And of course, I studied in Bombay, so when I went there, I had gone to also pick up my graduation certificate at that time. So I told him that I'm coming for my graduation certificate, then we can also work on the song together. So then that's how we met for the first time.
So it's love at first tone.
Love at first tone, correct. And yeah, we became really good friends after which, and everything is history.
I mean, we have a lot of questions to ask regarding but I think that would be too personal, so I'll just leave it for some other shows and not just
I'm
for
sure
this
we have a lot more shows for that.
And now again, I really wanted to I really thought this would be a good time to address this also, and I thought it's important to address. This might be a little sensitive of a question, but then last time we had a talk with you through, I mean, the Skype call that the virtual one, and I had to go through the comments. And I was very, honestly, as a person and as a woman, I was very disheartened by the comments that I saw. Like when it comes to us interracial marriages or interfaith marriages, people have a totally different idea about it, right?
Correct.
So would you like to address that as well? Do you want to say anything about that?
I wouldn't blame people for how narrow mindset we, you know, I think we are where we are because, I mean, I say this from a very heavy heart. I think Nagaland in general is not growing because of the conservative mindset that we are still stuck in. In terms of my personal choices, my love, right? I'm very happy where I am. And I cannot even expect for a better partner in terms of looking forward to a beautiful life. Because if I have to describe my fiance, he's the kind of person that I would say it's ideal. Not only because, of course, his good looks, but more than that, he's an extremely compassionate person, extremely supportive. Initially, I think when I told my parents also, you know, they did not know him well enough. So they had a lot of questions as to what kind of a person he might be. But the moment that they met him, they're like, oh my God, what kind of a person is this? This is such a beautiful person, you know. And I was really touched to see that kind of reaction from my parents as well, because they immediately knew that it was not about where you're coming from, he's a well-known person.
Right, of course.
But he's the most humble person I know. And when my parents met him, their reaction was also that, like, what kind of a person can be so humble despite being surrounded by such fame and honor? And that impression of his was really, really touching. And you know, the compassionate person that he is, I really appreciate him for who he is. And when people judge me for being in a relationship with a person who is not a Naga, I would say I'm really sad about it, because I wish I can tell you how it feels like to be loved. I wish I can show you how it feels like to be truly loved by a person, irrespective of where you come from, because I think I hold that very deeply in my heart, because I prioritize love more than any place or where you're coming from, who you're coming with. So for people who don't know about it, I just would like to tell you, I hope you grow, and I hope you get to accept us, because our intention is just love and for everybody to grow together. And if you have some wrong perspective to it, then I'm sure one day they will change their minds as well.
I just wanted to put it forward also that it's somewhat hypocritical that when people get married to people from different countries, right, they are more accepting of that, and they'll be like, oh, foreigner, this hadi we share. But when it comes to that, we get a lot of criticism, and I think as a woman also, that's something I mean, that bothers me as well. I mean, that bothers everybody. It should, I mean.
Yeah. I think we are somehow a bit racist in terms of that.
We cannot deny that.
And I think that's why I always say, when we complain about being racist, you know, when we go outside and we face racism, we shouldn't be saying, how can people be so racist?
Exactly.
Instead, we should be representing ourselves very well. if I'm a Naga and people call me Chinky, I'll be like, I would like to educate them.
Right.
I am a Naga, I look a certain way because I am from this race. I belong to the Mongolian race, and so I look like this.
Right.
But I'm rightfully an Indian, and if you call me that, you're also, you're not representing yourself well enough to me. So I always like to this is why this time when I was in Miss Diva also, my idea was to represent us together. Right. It wasn't about the outcome, it was about representing. So that racism is a disease. We people in Nagaland also, we have this in us.
Yes,
we have to work upon that. And so whenever there is an outsider from mainland coming in, we call them as plain Manu.
Yeah.
Plain Manu la de jai,
Yeah.
So I think that is a bit of a problem. But I'm sure that people will grow, like I said. And of course, foreigners, they look aesthetically more pleasing. Or at least in our knowledge, the Eurocentric feature is something that has impressed a lot of people.
Right.
And maybe that's why the inclination towards the foreigners is like, it's okay, sorla. Isorwa kuridala ho, isorla plan na se. But we have to be more accepting and more loving. At the end of the day, we are all one race.
Yeah.
We are human race. We are all one, irrespective of the color, irrespective of the religion, irrespective of the caste.
Yeah.
And if we are able to give love, there is nothing beyond that. And I always say that.
Right. And you mentioned about if you're comfortable sharing about it. You mentioned about it in Alobo Naga's show, so that you were bullied as a child, and you had to go through a lot. Your mental health was also deteriorating. Would you like to address that as well, about why and how you got bullied, all of that?
So I would say if those experiences didn't happen, I wouldn't be as grateful for life today, and I'm very grateful for this. And so when I speak all this, I don't say it from a very sad point of view or to gain sympathy. Rather, I say it in the point of view that, I want people to know that if you're facing bad times in life, remember that there is a space, there will come a time in life where you'll be able to speak of that proudly. And that is my time now, okay? So yes, I grew up being bullied in school, and I'm sure you agree, I don't look quite a Naga girl. So obviously, looking more different than the pact, I was always treated like an outsider. And being treated like an outsider, I was always, even if little things from school, from eraser to pencil to someone just coming and just bashing me up just because I look different. That was one of the heaviest burdens that I had to carry as a kid. That, when I was a kid, I couldn't wait to grow up. I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in school. I would wake up every morning telling my mom, I don't want to go to school today because I don't feel like facing people. It's just painful to face people. It's painful to be called. They used to call me plain Manu. They used to call me Nepali. They used to call me Mia. All of this. And I grew up in that. And it's so painful, especially when you are surrounded by such people and your own people. It feels really bad. So I couldn't wait to grow up. And then I grew up, I kind of had a little bit of my name here and there, so I kind of got a little bit popular. And then I get invited to these local events. One experience that I would like to tell, I am sure it might offend some people, but I'd like to share it anyway. I was there in one of my Lota functions that had been invited. I was 12 then, 12 or 13. And I wore like a really nice traditional outfit. I was really happy about it. And I went up on stage, and I was a kid, okay, 12-year-old. You can't expect her to sing like Whitney Houston or, or at least you can expect now maybe, but back then I was just about buying a track and just singing with whatever is being played. So I sang an English song, and right after I sang, the announcer is like, okay, it was good, but it would have been nice if you had just sung one Lotha song. Okay, and I'm a kid, and I was very disheartened, but anyway, I walked down, and then these two guys come right beside me, and they're like, oh my god, is this even a Lotha girl? Like, she should not be wearing this traditional dress because she's like ruining the name of us by wearing this. And then I cried that day. I questioned myself, like, is it my fault that I look like this? I look a little different. It doesn't mean that I don't belong to this community. Why is it so difficult for you to accept me just because I look a certain way? My mom and dad put a Lota. I look a certain way because, see, my mom, I look like my mom when she was young. and my mom looks my grandfather. Okay, so we have this a bit of a sharp feature that we've been passed on, but it did not make sense for them to judge me for who I was. And that day I realized that, you know, we are so racist. Just because you look a certain way, you're being judged. So, and then that is just one incident I'm telling you. There has been multiple incidents like that. And I think this is where also I gain my confidence from, as to maybe I'm less affected as to what people have to say about me, because the personality that I've developed over the course of time, I've made myself so strong that I don't need to be told as to what I should do. I don't need to be told as to what I should wear, where I should go. While I have respect for the culture, I have respect for elders, and I want to make sure that I have kept a certain respect for everyone, not to the level where they cross that barrier and demean me. I don't let that happen now. But those days were pretty difficult, because you, as a kid, you do not want to hear this from an elder who you expect to be more mature and much wiser. So yeah.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned that you felt the need to become popular to feel accepted.
Correct.
Would you say that you did, so whatever you did, whatever all these things that you have achieved, you did it for yourself, or it's because you had something to prove?
Initially, I wanted to make people know that I'm Lotha. That was desperate for me. Initially, it was like, my name is Zuchobeni Tungoe. That is a Lotha name. My parents are Lotha. Please accept me as a Lotha. That was my cry. That was my plea as a kid. And that's so sad. Because I started off thinking that people are going to accept me only when they know who I am, who my parents are. And that was so sad. The idea for me to get popular. It was for me to seek validation from my own people. And that idea was very wrong from the beginning. So that journey for me to start off like, you know, I have to do it. Oh my God, if I don't win, like I told you before, the maturity wasn't in me, that if I fail in something, I will cry. Because I felt like I had failed people. But now, of course, I have grown past that. But the very idea for me as to where it sprouted to become popular was that, for sure. In the quest of seeking for validation. And I think that's a very wrong place to be in. But like I said, if those didn't happen, I wouldn't be where I am. So I'm grateful for those experiences as well.
But now that you have a lot of feathers on your cap now, and people know you, do you feel accepted enough?
My perspective have changed now. I don't think I'm looking for validation anymore. Along the process, I've grown, I've become more wise, I would say. So I'm not looking for validation. Here, I'm only willing to represent my people at my best. Because what I can tell is that I am a Naga by birth. That nobody can take away from me. Irrespective, it doesn't matter how much people try to take that away from me. My identity that I'm rooted in cannot be taken away. And that I know. It's a fact. So now my idea is not to be validated by people. My idea is to let the state grow. To be a good representative, to be a good example. And to be at least maybe one figure that people might remember later in the future, you know. Oh, once upon a time there was a person who had laid some good example. And if I'm able to do that and live a virtue at a certain level, I'll be more than happy.
So as you grow older, it's not just about yourself, but now you're adding the state also. I have to do something for the state as a whole, for the people, and not just for yourself.
I have been, so I studied in Bombay. When I was there, I was really disappointed at the fact that we don't have anything here. In fact, I'm very grateful that we have HornbillTV now. Back then, we did not have any news channel. We did not have any media coverage. Even if there's a crime happening, there's nothing. And I was very disappointed. Very disappointed to the level that I wish my state was as big, then I don't even have to come out of my state to study. So that was my thing. When I came back, I really wanted to give back. But I don't know how. See, I am 25. I just turned 25 a few days ago. And I think I am still in that state of figuring my life out. And I was not understanding why the leaders are not doing enough. Like, we can do this, we can do that. But I'm sure there's a lot of factors that we can sometimes speak of. But there's a lot of internal things that we have to work on. But that ideology kept me going. So now I know that I cannot do everything for everyone. But I can do, at least I can put my best foot forward and be a good representative like that.
Now again, coming back to your music career, we can't just because you're doing pageants now, we can't deny the fact that you're a very good singer as well. So any new music, just give us a hint.
So again, music has been always very personal to me. That is one passion that I don't think I can ever leave behind. And now that I have beautiful partner with me who sings beautifully as well. We both have planned a lot of songs for a lot of people now. I'm sure that we are very confident on those songs, because it's not just about, again, it's not about validation, it's about we've put our hearts into it.
Of course.
So yeah, there's a lot of things coming up. We are excited for it.
Also, Zucho, we see a lot of, when it comes to, going back to again, pageant industry, we see a lot of participants from the Northeast these days, right? And even, talking about pageants, even male pageants also, we see a lot of winners and stuff like that. But when it comes to women pageants, we make it to, besides Manipur winning the first runners-up this year, we hardly see us, people who look like us, making it to the top. Do you think that, it's something to be addressed, or you being in that field, you participating there, you have your own experiences, what would you say regarding that?
I've always been very vocal about it, and I'd like to say that sometimes, belonging to the Northeast, our opportunities are denied before even being offered.
Right.
And that's a fact. And so I was thinking, like, do I blame the mainland people for doing that to us Northeast? It's so critical, it's so bad of them not to just because we look a certain way. When they offer us a job also, they're like, for example, I was offered acting, like a side role, of course, but they offered me a role where I was supposed to be a Thailand girl. I'm like, why not a Naga girl?
Right.
If you want a foreigner, might as well get a foreigner.
Right.
I am not a Thai person. I cannot act to be a Thai person. So you cannot tell me to become a Thai person. I question all of this, and of course there's a lot of things that I wish there are some positive changes perhaps in the future. But I know for a fact that many times I wouldn't call it for the pageants, because for me, whenever I've been there, I've been rightfully given what I belonged. So other than that, other than pageants, I'm sure there are a lot of times that we have been denied our opportunity before even being presented. So yes, that has happened. But in pageants, I personally haven't faced that. I would say I have gotten just what I have performed, So in terms of pageant, it's also, the pageant platform is about empowering, and they have not laid anything behind. In fact, this time also I know why I was not in top 3. I know where I have gone wrong, and I think it's important for us to understand that. Many a times we have not seen Northeastern being in the bigger picture, because I personally believe that we have been lacking in few things. Number one, our confidence, because we come from such a conservative background. You see all the other Northeastern states, we come from such conservative backgrounds, from the bubble that we are already in. It's very difficult for us to get out of it and be that sporty person, So I think that is one factor, that we don't let ourselves develop ourselves completely before going out there. And secondly, of course, we need more leaders and more representatives in the main sector also, so that they can represent us better and bring more people in the mainstream. Like, for example, recently I attended one function for the Northeast Film Festival, where I was the host. I met Sir Armstrong Pame, who is the IAS officer, and he was also mentioning that, he was telling the directors, in fact, that we do not get to see Northeastern faces in the mainstream. Why is it so? They also mentioned that sometimes it's not about the faces, it's about the skill. Now, if you come back, we do not have any acting institutions here. We do not have any modeling institutions here. We do not have any music institutions. Patkai is there, but hardly we see people doing very good from there, coming out of your comfort zone. So I think there's a little bit of both ways. Sometimes we are being denied because we are not showing our skills enough. And then sometimes we as Naga youths, or me personally, because I'm a Naga youth myself, I think we're pretty laid behind, like
of course,
very laid back, very easy. We think that everything will happen. Hard work is needed. We need to understand that quality of work is, so we have to focus on skill development first. We have to focus on representing ourselves at our best. And then later, if at all there is some racism, or rather, denial of opportunity, then we will work on it.
I mean, if you're skilled enough, I don't think that would work.
Exactly.
Also. Yeah.
Just like this time, the Mahila band did very good in India's Got Talent,
Yes,
and
exactly.
of course the other.
So many other.
Yeah.
We are doing good.
Fate in Action.
Yeah, Fate in Action.
They were really amazing. I was really excited to see, and this is where we know that actually it's not just them. It's also us.
Yeah.
Because there are platforms that we can go and express and explore our talents. But we somehow are a little bit laid back. We wait for opportunity to come. We have to go looking for it. Like for me, I've always navigated my way through. I have to go. I've gone for auditions by myself, even for the stage, right? I did not tell my parents I'm going. I just went. I auditioned. There were 600 people around me. I auditioned. Somehow I made it through. And it was just about a chance. But until and unless you do it yourself, I don't think you'll understand.
Would you also say that participating in pageants, it helped you build your confidence and also your personality in any way?
Yes. Personality, I would say I've always worked on it in terms of speaking or in terms of trying to be a better version. But pageant has broadened my perspective to life generally, because pageant gave me that I would say the portal of thinking where I knew exactly how to try to be a leader, or at least I got that responsibility. Oh my God, if I am a leader, how can I change people? Because I know as an individual it's impossible for me to change the world. It is impossible for even for the Miss Universe to change the world. But what we can be, I realize that we can be a small good example, a small good change. And that perspective, I was able to understand that only once I was in pageant. Because I realized not every leader, like we cannot tell the chief minister can do everything. He has a lot of power. But until and unless the public cooperate with him, you can't really expect change. Just like that, you know, that perspective shift came into me, and pageant is what actually did that to me.
And now that you have participated even in pageants here, Miss Dimapur, and outside now, national pageants, what would you say we lack here when it comes to the pageant industry? Is there, of course we lack a lot, I mean we cannot deny that, but could you just point out something that we can work on, or the pageant industry here can work on?
I would say the government and the people have to work together. It is impossible for the organizers to put it from their pocket money and then organize something that's very low graded. You know, I've been part of Miss Dimapur, and I was very disappointed at the fact that the organizers were lacking a lot. I was wondering if I should blame them or if I should, you know, I know that there are so many things that we can work upon, but I would also emphasize on the fact that we definitely need help from the government. Because when a girl represents nationally, she's not representing herself, she's representing the whole state. So if you're able to nurture that girl and groom that girl properly, then she is going to take forward what actually Nagaland is. And you show us what kind of a potential we have as a state if we're able to represent one person very well. So I think that government has to intervene in this regard. And in terms of the quality, yes, we have to have one. See, I realize one thing, that a lot of organizers are not from this industry. They don't know anything about pageants. They're just there because they want to do something good, or they're just there because they think it's a good idea. I may be sounding very blunt, I'm sorry to all the organizers, with all due respect from my heart. I just want to say that event organizing is very poor. We need sponsorships, if I'm part of the organizing team, that I will have to go looking for sponsorship. I can't keep on waiting and suddenly, I have to organize this, so I'll go working on it. It's not like this. I think it's a plan that you have to have at least 8 months prior. Look for sponsorships, look for event management, properly organize an event in terms of the stage, in terms of the lighting, and one thing that I always emphasized on is that once a girl is crowned, there's a full stop. You crown a girl, and what's next for her? There's no monthly stipend from the government or the organizers. The girl is sent off with some cash award, and that's it. I'm so sorry to say, but that's it. She has to go back to her daily routine. She has the crown of a Miss Dimapur. For example, I was a Miss Dimapur. I had the crown of a Miss Dimapur, and that's a full stop. Next, I have to go back to eating my normal food. I have to go back to taking the auto. You know. So for me, my question is, if you're going to crown someone and give them the title, the government should intervene
Right.
Make them something, give them a platform to explore, affiliate with national platforms, give her a place where she can showcase her talent.
Right.
Don't let it be a full stop there. And I would also like to, put a plea that the government should not allow just anyone to organize. You have to have standard protocols. If you meet the protocols, then you should be able to organize. If you don't meet that, please don't organize. Because you're not just, degrading the whole pageant community. Because if you see there are multiple pageants these days that's happening, that people have gotten bored of it, like, another pageant. And there's another ticket today. So I think all of this have to stop. The government should set a certain standard protocol as to people should follow, how they should be keeping up with it. If the standards are met, then you should be able to organize one show. And for every event that's organized, the government should be able to support at least to the level where the standards are met. And of course, efficient leaders is what we require. Efficient organizing team is what we require. And I'm hoping that we will make some changes, And I'm so sorry if I sounded blunt in any form, but I'm honest like that.
That's all right. For me, it's fine.
I hope I don't become them later.
Lastly, do you have any messages for young girls or even boys who would like to be a part of the pageant industry, go participate in national levels? Any tips? I wouldn't say tips, but any words of encouragement or anything as such, or just in general, any messages to the fans and family members?
I would say that just because you're tall and beautiful and someone have told you that you're fit for a pageant, don't do it. Because pageants are not for that. Pageants are not for you to showcase your beauty only. It comes with a purpose. And every pageant has a purpose. Or at least I believe so. At least I believe so. So what happens is that a lot of people, for example, when I was growing up, just because I was tall, just because I had a certain feature, so many people told me that go for this pageant, Miss Nagaland. Honestly, I somehow got influenced by that also. My mom used to tell me. Then I started researching on pageant as to why people go for pageant, because because I was the most underconfident in terms of my looks. Like I told you, I always grew up with that fear of not being part of the community in general in terms of my looks. So I was always really underconfident like that. But I started researching more on pageants and I realized that it's not about showcasing your beauty. It's about representing one's understanding to life. It's about becoming a leader. It's about showcasing your talent, and it's about being a good example overall and taking forward certain advocacy that you believe in. And that was what intrigued me. That was something that really excited me, and that was actually a calling for me, and that's how I got into it. Now a lot of people have been confused that it's about beauty, it's about the height, it's about the standard. It's not about it. I would like to encourage everyone to follow your heart, not because someone have told you. There's a certain calling. I'm sure there's a certain calling that we all recognize within ourselves. I'm sure you had a certain calling in your life that you knew that you could work upon, and even if people didn't believe in you, you could have worked upon. I was one of the people that people had no hope in. I was one of them. I was like almost a black sheep in the family. My parents had no hope because I'm doing music, I'm doing modeling, and then they're like, shit, she cannot do anything in life. But growing up, I kind of changed the perspective as well. So my encouragement would be just try to recognize that calling within your heart. Try to work on it. Try to develop your skills before you show it to the people. And make sure that you believe in yourself before anybody does. Once you have that base secure, whatever you do, people believe in you. That's it.
Thank you. That's the last message from the
That's it.
I think that's about all. I think we had a very good conversation. I had so much fun having you. And I always wanted to have a talk with you like this, because I really admire the person that you are, and you have been such an inspiration to all of us also as well. And I'm pretty sure that even in the future you'll keep bringing laurels to the state and keep inspiring us. So thank you so much for taking out your time and being here. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much for having me.
So that's all we have for now. Keep watching Hornbill TV.